We often find ourselves trapped in irritation and anger. We feel disturbed by someone's words, attitude, or actions that seem to disrupt our peace. It might be a harsh comment on social media, a rude gesture on the street, or even a painful remark from family. It feels as if we have no control, our emotions tossed around simply because of someone else's behavior. But have you ever honestly asked yourself, why are we so easily influenced? Why is our heart, supposed to be steady, so fragile in the face of words or actions that are, in truth, beyond our control? Is it really other people who make us angry, or are we the ones giving them that power? This is where many people forget. We forget that true peace should not depend on others. No one has greater authority over our feelings than ourselves. We may blame the circumstances, our partner, friends, boss, or even a stranger on the street. But in the end, the one who determines how we feel is not them, it is us. If we look deeper, we discover a simple yet profound truth. Our emotions are entirely our own responsibility. People may say or do whatever they want, but we are the ones who decide whether to be angry, sad, or remain calm. This is the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy born in Greece, developed in Rome, and still deeply relevant today. Stoicism teaches that happiness and peace do not come from external events, but from how we respond to what happens outside of us. It sounds simple, even quiet. There are no explosive motivational shouts, no sweet promises of a life without problems. Yet, within that simplicity lies tremendous power. Stoicism shows us how to find control amidst chaos, calm amidst noise, and wisdom in a world full of emotion. Today, I invite you to take a step further, to pause for a moment from life's endless noise and turn inward. Let us explore how Stoicism can answer life's great questions. How do we remain calm when those around us reveal their darker sides? How do we face hurtful words without being consumed by anger? How do we avoid being swept away by waves of negativity that so often destroy our inner peace? Imagine a simple situation. Someone cuts in front of you in line. The instinctive reaction is anger, feeling disrespected, maybe even lashing out. But does anger make the situation better? Does it make the person step back politely and apologize? Most often, no. Anger only burns us inside, spoils our mood, and ruins the rest of our day. This is where Stoicism offers a new perspective. We cannot control the person cutting the line, but we can control ourselves, whether we let emotions take over or whether we choose calm. Choosing calm does not mean weakness. In fact, that is true strength, the strength not to be ruled by what is beyond our control. The same applies on a larger scale. At home, we face hurtful words. At work, we deal with difficult colleagues. In social life, we endure unfair criticism. If we constantly let ourselves be carried away by emotional reactions, we will always live in reactivity, not in control. Stoicism reminds us that every day we have a choice, to be a slave to our emotions or to be the master of ourselves. The choice is small, simple, often unseen by others. Yet its impact can transform our entire life. Imagine that whenever provoked, we pause, breathe, and ask ourselves, does this truly deserve to steal my peace? More often than not, the answer is no. In that moment, we realize we do not have to be angry, offended, or dragged into the chaos others bring. This is the freedom Stoicism offers. Not freedom from problems, but freedom from being enslaved by emotions. Not freedom from conflict, but the freedom to choose the best response to conflict. The journey toward this understanding is not instant. Just like building muscle, cultivating calm requires consistent practice. We will stumble, we will be tempted to lash out, we will slip into disappointment. But every time we return, every time we remember this teaching, we grow stronger. Little by little, we become calmer, wiser, more resilient in facing life. And this is what we will explore together here. I will share guides, practices, and perspectives to help you see life differently. We will learn how to stop giving others the power to control our emotions. We will learn how to face challenges with a clear mind. And we will learn that peace is not something to be hunted outside, but something already within us, waiting to be discovered. If you find this narrative valuable, I invite you to join this journey. Hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the steps ahead. Because the path to wisdom, peace, and inner freedom has only just begun. And every small step we take, brings us closer to our best selves. First, train yourself not to react impulsively. We live in a world full of external stimuli. Every day there are things that can shake our emotions, harsh words, injustice, or even small events that can ignite our anger. If we are not careful, we will easily be carried away and act purely on impulse. Such spontaneous reactions often lead us to regret. The philosopher Aelius reminded us that evil does not immediately destroy us. It is we who destroy ourselves when we overreact to it. Our minds are often filled with quick judgments that make us feel we must respond in a certain way. This is what is known as an automatic reaction, where we do not process the situation rationally but are swept away by emotion. Let us reflect for a moment. Why do we often react so quickly? Perhaps it is linked to long-trained patterns of thought, patterns that seek justification. Our minds tend to look for confirmation or an enemy to blame. Yet not every situation requires such a response. To overcome this, Stoicism teaches us to first take a pause, a space between stimulus and reaction. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the importance of remembering that we cannot control what happens outside of us, but we can control how we respond to it. In psychology, this is known as self-regulation, our ability to manage emotions and direct ourselves in line with higher values and goals. Scientific evidence shows that this form of self-control can be trained and is associated with greater well-being. We must realize that control over our feelings and actions lies entirely within us, not in the hands of others. Do we often give too much room for our thoughts to create exaggerated reactions? At times we feel disturbed because we assume others must act according to our expectations. We believe the world should follow our desires. But is it really the world or other people who cause our feelings? Or is it us, assigning meaning and judgment to the situation? We can come to understand that our emotions do not come from the outside world, but from the value we attach to it. The world must be accepted as part of the universe's plan, and we cannot avoid it. What we can control is only our response to it. This means we cannot control what others say or do, but we can choose how we respond. Responsibility for our feelings rests entirely in our hands. In truth, we often feel angry, frustrated, or upset not because of others, but because of our unrealistic expectations or unmet desires. When we expect others to act as we wish and they do not, we feel hurt or angry. But the real question is, why do we place such expectations on others? Isn't that only giving ourselves unnecessary emotional burdens? In psychology, there is a concept called locus of control. It refers to how we perceive control over events in our lives. Those with an external locus of control believe their feelings are determined by others or circumstances. In contrast, those with an internal locus of control understand that they alone decide how they feel. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate an internal locus of control, to realize we are the rulers of ourselves. Of course, this is not easy. When someone hurts us, or when the world seems unfair, anger and frustration naturally arise. But by taking responsibility for our feelings, we hold the power over how we react. We are no longer victims of circumstances or other people's behavior. Instead, we become the masters of how we feel and respond. This practice requires deep awareness and constant reflection. The process is not instant. It may be difficult to let go of the desire to control how others behave or how the world unfolds. But in the end, true freedom comes when we realize we cannot control the world outside us, and we do not need to. What we need is only to control our own thoughts and feelings. If we recognize that our reactions are our choice, and that we can choose not to be angry, how would our lives change? Perhaps in this way, we would feel more at peace, more in control, and more prepared to face life's challenges. Yet this is not merely knowledge. This challenge is a call for real transformation, and that transformation begins with ourselves, because ultimately, we are the only ones who can decide. We should learn to recognize the condition of others, the state of ourselves, and the fact that we often cannot truly control everything. All of us have experienced moments when things did not go as we had hoped. Maybe we tried to force a situation to unfold according to our wishes, expecting others to follow the pattern we set, or even hoping life would yield results exactly as we planned. But in reality, the desire to control everything only creates anxiety and tension within us. Stoicism teaches us to let go of the urge to control what lies beyond our power and to focus instead on what we truly can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. Epictetus, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, reminds us that when things do not meet our expectations, perhaps someone arrives late, or a project fails due to unforeseen factors, it is in those moments that we feel we have lost control. We want the world to follow the rules we set, and when it does not, our emotions are shaken. But can we truly control other people, the outcome of our efforts, or circumstances beyond ourselves? The answer is no. What we can control is only ourselves. There is no guarantee that everything will align with our wishes. And when we force that control, the result is only tension, dissatisfaction, and a constant sense of never enough. By releasing the need to control everything, we free ourselves from that burden. We create space for peace and calm. This Stoic philosophy also resonates with a psychological concept known as acceptance. Acceptance invites us to see reality as it is, to embrace what we can control, and to let go of what we cannot. In doing so, we gain true freedom. We are no longer trapped by frustration when circumstances change because we know we were never meant to control everything. Yet we always retain the freedom to choose how to respond. And in that choice lies our strength. So let go of the urge to control everything. Trust that by accepting what happens, we will discover the peace we have been seeking all along. Stop judging others. So often we assume that people should behave according to our expectations. We think they must live up to our standards. When they do not, we grow angry, disappointed, or disturbed. But do we really know their entire story, from their perspective? Stoicism teaches us to release the tendency to judge. The truth is, we know so little about others beyond what appears on the surface, and that is only a fragment of their lives. Judging them only worsens the situation, both for them and for ourselves. In psychology, there is a concept called non-judgmental awareness, closely related to mindfulness. The practice of observing thoughts, emotions, and actions, our own and others, without judgment. By training ourselves to see without judging, we enrich our understanding, deepen our empathy, and lighten our emotional burden. For example, when someone appears angry or behaves harshly, we are quick to judge them as rude or impatient. Yet we do not know what they are going through. Perhaps they are facing immense personal struggles, inner turmoil, or hidden difficulties. If we can stop judging, we begin to see others with openness and empathy. We become calmer. We learn to accept others with both their strengths and their flaws. By letting go of judgment, we create space for peace within ourselves, and that peace will reflect in our relationships with others. Is this easy? Of course not. Breaking the habit of judgment is a great challenge. But if we are willing to practice, we will start to see the world with softer eyes. We will notice a change. We are no longer so easily disturbed by others' behavior when it does not match our expectations, because we understand that everyone is fighting their own battles. Remember, when we stop judging, we are not only freeing others from our labels, we are freeing ourselves from unnecessary emotional burdens. In that freedom, peace and wisdom can take root within us. Also, accept the world's imperfections. The world is not perfect, and as part of it, neither are we. We often grow angry or disappointed because we expect the world to operate according to our wishes. We expect others to act as we want them to. Yet the truth is, the world will never fully align with our plans. Stoic philosophy teaches us that the world was not created to fulfill our expectations. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not expect the world to be as you wish it to be, but accept whatever happens as part of the path of nature." Think about it for a moment. We often feel frustrated by traffic jams, by people who fail to meet our expectations, or when plans fall apart. But can we really control all of that? No. None of us can control the entire world. We cannot change everything that doesn't go our way. What we can control is only how we choose to respond. Why do we feel so disappointed when things don't turn out as expected? Because we believe we have the right to control the world. We expect everything to unfold exactly as we want. Yet, expectation itself is the root of suffering. Every event in life, whether pleasant or painful, is often greater than we can imagine. All of it is part of a larger process, even if we cannot always fully understand it. The question is, how can we accept the imperfections around us? The answer lies in the awareness that true control exists only within ourselves. We may not be able to change the world out there, but we can always change the way we respond. When things don't go as planned, we have a choice: drown in frustration and anger, or embrace reality with a peaceful heart. Acceptance is not a sign of surrender. It is the recognition that life has its own rhythm, and we are but a part of its harmony. Imagine when someone acts differently from what we expect. Disappointment quickly arises, as if they intentionally let us down. But when we see things from a broader perspective, we might realize that they carry reasons or burdens unknown to us. By understanding that everyone has their own journey, we can respond more calmly. In this way, acceptance not only helps us face the world with peace, but also nurtures empathy toward others. We learn to let go of rigid expectations, which so often are the source of suffering. When reality doesn't match our desires, we feel hurt. But when we make space for acceptance, we allow peace to grow. True acceptance is not passive resignation. It is an active stance to stop resisting reality and begin embracing imperfection. When we release the need to control what cannot be changed, our emotional burdens lighten. The heart grows calmer, the mind clearer, and we can move forward unshackled by anger. Of course, this does not happen overnight. Accepting imperfection requires practice, persistence, and time. Yet as we learn to change our responses to the world, we discover that inner peace does not come from controlling everything. It arises from accepting life as it is with all its chaos and beauty. Life will always bring trials. Disappointment, anger, even despair will come. Usually these feelings arise because we resist reality, wishing everything would follow our plans. When reality differs, it feels as though the world has turned against us. But what if we tried to meet life with a willingness to accept? If we could see every experience, sweet or bitter, as a natural part of the journey, the burden would lift. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us that life is not about making everything go our way, but about how we respond to whatever comes. That is where our true strength lies. To accept life willingly means to stop trying to control what is beyond our power. Hardship, pain, and disappointment are part of existence. We cannot erase them, but we can choose how to face them. Within every obstacle lies a chance to learn, to grow, and to strengthen ourselves. With willingness, we stop viewing life as something to fight against. Instead, we embrace it with openness. The world is full of uncertainty, and not every expectation will be fulfilled. Yet when we open our hearts to acceptance, we see that uncertainty itself is an essential part of life. When we resist reality, our energy is drained by fighting the uncontrollable. But when we learn to accept, that energy transforms into space for growth and wisdom. Every experience, good or bad, carries a lesson that shapes us into stronger, more aware, and wiser individuals. Willingness to accept does not mean giving up effort. On the contrary, it gives us the strength to keep moving forward without being weighed down by anger or disappointment. By accepting that life will not always follow our plans, we learn to cherish every moment of the journey. Life no longer feels like a burden. It becomes something we live through with full awareness. Ultimately, there is something else that matters: finding joy in the attitude of selflessness. Often, anger arises because we think the world must bend to our will. We want respect, understanding, and compliance. But the more we cling to what lies beyond our control, the greater our disappointment becomes. Epictetus reminds us, if we desire what lies outside our control, disappointment will always follow. The more we tie our emotions to expectations of the world, the more the world controls us. Yet when we shift our perspective, we realize that others too are struggling with burdens of their own. We cannot force others to act as we wish, but we can choose to respond with patience, empathy, and kindness. Paradoxically, the less we center everything on ourselves, the more peace we find. And from that peace emerges the strength to live more calmly. It is not easy. We may fail, slip back, or lose our temper again. But every small step toward change is a victory. Slowly, we begin to feel the difference, calmer, wiser, and stronger in facing the world. Peace is no longer a distant dream. It becomes something alive within our hearts. The greatest question in our lives is not, how can I avoid anger? That question is too narrow, too focused on a fleeting reaction. The deeper and wiser question is, how can I preserve peace within my heart, no matter what happens outside? Anger is only one of many storms that may strike our inner world. Today we may feel angry, tomorrow disappointed, the next day anxious, and the week after despair. If our focus is only on avoiding anger, then we are merely closing one door, while leaving hundreds of other doors open through which our peace may be lost. This is where the wisdom of the Stoic philosophers comes in. They did not say, do not be angry. Instead, they taught us something deeper. Guard the tranquility of your heart, and allow every emotion to come and go without stealing your freedom. In other words, anger is natural, disappointment is human, sadness is normal. Yet none of these emotions should ever become masters over us. If we are willing to practice acceptance with awareness, we begin to see life as it truly is. People will still be rude, situations will still fall short of our expectations, even those closest to us may disappoint us. Yet all of these are part of reality, not threats to our inner peace unless we ourselves allow them to be. The next step is to stop judging. How often we rush to attach labels. He's annoying. She's unfair. They're always like this. In truth, people act according to their own conditions, the knowledge they have, or the wounds they carry. Judging them doesn't bring us peace, it only adds weight to our minds. But when we let go of judgment, we create space within our hearts for understanding, acceptance, and release. Seeing life as it is becomes the highest practice. Imagine if we could view rain not as an interruption of our plans, but as part of nature's rhythm. Imagine if we could see failure not as the end of the world, but as a stern yet honest teacher. Imagine if we could see hurtful words not as a personal attack, but as a reflection of someone else's troubled inner state. From this perspective, peace gradually takes root. Not a fragile peace that depends on external circumstances, but a sturdy peace, anchored within, that cannot be shaken by anything outside us. This peace is more than just comfort. It is a foundation for life. With peace, we can think clearly when facing problems. With peace, we can make wise decisions without rushing under the weight of emotion. With peace, we can be fully present with the people we love. And from here, our true journey as human beings begins. We stop being victims of circumstances and start becoming masters of ourselves. We stop blaming the world and begin taking responsibility for our inner lives. We stop chasing outward things and start cultivating inner wealth that is far more precious. This journey is not a short road. It is a long process, filled with practice, setbacks, and learning. There will be days when we succeed in guarding our peace, and days when emotions take over again. But that is all right. It is in this very rise and fall that practice takes place. There is no perfection in life, only gradual progress. Now imagine if everyone in the world could guard their inner peace. Streets would be calmer, households more harmonious, workplaces healthier, social media wiser. But such change does not need to wait for the world. It can begin with one person, with you, with your heart, with your decision today to cultivate peace. And when one person changes, their surroundings feel it too. Peace is contagious. A sincere smile, a calm response, a wise attitude. All of these can ease the tension of others. You may not be able to change the whole world at once, but you can create small ripples that continue to spread. This is the true power we hold as human beings. Not the power to control the outer world, but the power to guard the inner one. And when our inner world is at peace, the outer world feels more friendly too. So do not merely ask, how can I avoid anger? Instead, ask the greater question, how can I remain at peace no matter what happens? For in that lies true freedom, happiness, and wisdom. This journey is not easy, but we do not have to walk it alone. Let us learn together, grow together, and discover the true peace within ourselves. If you found this reflection meaningful, Consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing it so that more people may find tranquility in their lives. The journey toward wisdom has only just begun, and the next step is in your hands.